it's Jasmine Turner here. I'm the creator of the Divine Feminine Collective. We're just going to try, if you just give me a moment, I'm just trying to try and get our interviewee live. Okay, she's here. Alrighty, here we go. Add. Okay, cool. No. Okay. All right. Hello, Jiveny.
Hello, we made it.
Hello. Sorry about that. We had to do it twice. But anyways, here we are. So,
Perfect.
alrighty. So everyone, my name is Jasmine Turner and I am the founder and creator of the Divine Feminine Collective. Thank you very much for tuning in. So a little bit about the Divine Feminine Collective. It's a group or a collective of people that I created earlier on this year to open up the conversation and break the taboo around intimacy, sexuality and sensuality. And more I was noticing that we were having, there's a lot of fear-based conversations around it. So my intentions is to break the taboo and open up the conversation around the subject of, who we are, and we are sexual beings. So over the coming weeks, we are going to be doing a series of interviews. And today we're going to be interviewing Jiveny Blair-West. So welcome, Jiveny.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Cool. We really appreciate your time. So thank you. I know you have a very busy life. So if it's okay with you, before we actually get into the interview, I'm just going to read your bright bio. I just want to make sure that I get it correct and capture who you are. So,
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So Jiveny is a dating and attraction coach. She's committed to helping people achieve greater clarity and success in their love life. Her passionate obsession with relationship dynamics has led her to study and unpack the realities of our modern dating culture, the psychology of attraction, sacred sexuality, and practical strategies for more effective communication between the sexes. She's also the creator of Alchemy of Attraction, which is a 6-week group coaching program for single women who are ready to transform their love life.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Cool. Alrighty. So Jiveny, thank you very much for your time today. Can you tell me a little bit about why you became a dating and attraction coach?
Of course. All right. So I grew up in a family with 2 relationship therapists as parents. Mm-hmm. And so, when you're a kid, the environment that you grow up in just seems normal. We kind of take that for granted. And so I grew up with a lot of conversations around intimacy and what brings people together and what pushes people apart. And I thought that was normal at the time. Then when I started to get into dating and my friends were dating, and obviously in our teenage years, that becomes quite a big new chapter to delve into. I realized that a lot of people weren't as well prepared for it as perhaps I was. Yes. I still had a lot to learn, because it's one thing to have the knowledge, but to actually put it into practice. And then as I started dating, I traveled the world for 6 years and I dated a lot of people from different cultures, different countries. And that really fascinated me, to explore the nuances between relating in different cultures. And then I got my heart broken. And I think that was the biggest thing that really pushed me to not make the same mistakes again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it sounds like you've been on a really amazing journey, and you've had a solid foundation with it. Sounds like you would have had a lot of conversations that a lot of people wouldn't have had growing up, because your parents were, I think you shared with me that one's a psychotherapist and one's a psychologist. So, so what a privilege. My dad will love that you made that distinction. Oh. It's like, don't group me in with all the other therapists. So, right. So, okay. So that's basically your background. So on the subject of today's how to make the biggest decision of your life, I'm gonna get a little bit vulnerable here. Okay, so
in preparing for today's broadcast, I was actually thinking about some of the absolute horror stories, like horror stories that I've had with dating and meeting different people. You know, like Tinder. Like last year, I went on multiple like Tinder dates, and you know, some were good and some were the absolute pits. And I can laugh about it now. I buried my head in my hands when I was thinking about it. So, and I know there's a lot of people out there who would share the same experience. And there's a whole world to dating. So, and with the times that I, you know, sort of came home, like I came home and I thought something was wrong with me, and I was making myself wrong. I was experiencing disappointment. And probably like a lot of frustration around the whole, you know, like finding someone. So, and I'm 100% clear that I'm not the only person in the world that has ever experienced that. So I know my situation's not unique. So, and the other thing is that, you know, like I thought that the things that I wanted in a life partner, like I thought there was something wrong with what I wanted, just because I was coming up against all these situations. So what advice do you have for people who would be in my situation or what I just shared?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is we need to be so careful about what we choose to take on. Yeah. Because we do live in a culture where there are so many examples of dysfunctional relationships. Yeah. You know, the magazines are full of them, picking them apart. The movies that we watch or TV series often have dramatized relationships because that's what makes for good TV. There aren't a lot of... Sorry?
Fairy tale relationships even, or dramatized. Yeah,
exactly. And when you look at these side by side, there aren't many functional examples of relationship, right? And so it's important not to take that stuff on and to be clear and to actually seek other models of relationships that are healthier. These might be, you know, friends or relatives who you admire their relationship. You can tell that they've got something unique and special going on there. So my advice would be to find more of those people and to start conversations with them about what they're doing in their relationships, what they've learned about relationships along the way, because that we need to be having more conversations about that. And I think thirdly, really being willing to dive into our own stuff and to do the work to transform. You know, we inherit so much from our childhood, from the examples of relationship that we grow up around. And so to really peel back the layers and to explore, you know, what might not really be an effective strategy for dating and relating, and to transform those patterns to healthy ones. Because the more that we do that, the more that we're able to attract someone on a healthier level.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that really actually starting getting to know yourself and being, so I'm reflecting, you know, with when I was dating, actually having a look at sort of what we'll call it conditioning that I have or that we have as individuals around who we're going to date, what sort of relationship we want, and then going back to what you said originally about finding yourself in communities of people, you know, like that, you know, that model those relationships that you can, you know, learn from them or have conversations with them and really uncover what's important to us and why it's important to us, like actually getting sourceful around these conversations and what our intentions are. Did I capture that right?
Totally. And it's that old thing too of only take advice from people who have been where you want to go, right?
Yes.
So, you know, we don't want to fall into, like, actually the default for a lot of people, it becomes this thing of the blind leading the blind, because we're taking advice from our friends or family members who aren't necessarily that good at relationships themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Or we're modeling it on our parents' relationship, or we're modeling on our, I don't know, older brother or sister's relationship, or, you know, an aunt and uncle, or people who have heavily influenced our lives. But it might not necessarily be what's right for us. So dissecting that and getting sourceful around it and what our thoughts are. Yeah, cool. Exactly. Okay, thank you. That's good advice. Okay, so you say on your website that the biggest decision of your life is choosing a partner to have children with, and yeah, so it's choosing a partner that you're going to have children with. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I would argue that if you want to have children, this is the biggest decision of your life, because, you know, the divorce rate these days is 45 to 50%. And recognizing that once kids are involved, even with a divorce, you're still going to have to deal with that person for the rest of your life, or at least the rest of your children's life. Yeah. And so it is a big decision that I think we can all benefit from putting more thought into it. And so this is actually a book that my father and I are writing. He recently gave a TED talk on preventing divorce. And this is really recognizing, like, the book is about recognizing that in order to prevent divorce, it starts with dating. And it starts with approaching dating as an evaluation process. Now, I don't want that to sound too clinical to some people, because of course we need to be in our heart as well, and we need to feel connected to this other person. That's the other extreme if we're just going to, like, you know, oh, they look good on paper, so I'm going to marry them or whatever. But it's this marriage of the head and the heart. And that's where the decision-making process comes in.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. And we might just add, I know you mentioned that your dad did a TED talk recently. So Jiveny's is Dr. George Blair-West, but I'm also not going to let you not share that you also delivered a TED talk at TEDx Brisbane in the last couple of weeks on this same subject. So, and that's, you know, that is one of the reasons why I got you on, you know, to interview, you know, to share your insights. So, yeah, I wasn't going to let you not say that. So,
well, thank you.
That's all right. So also I read in one of your blogs, you relate to finding a life partner, so to the same process as buying a used car. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So this is also going back to using dating as an evaluation process, right? Yeah. And recognizing that most people put more thought into choosing a car than they do choosing a partner. And so this can be a useful little cheeky metaphor to really bring attention to that. So when we look at buying a car, what do we start looking at? First, we might think about our budget. What are we willing to invest at this stage of our lives? And then if it's a used car, we want to start delving into its history. Is it safe and reliable? Does it have any ongoing issues? And why did the previous owners want to get rid of it? It's a really important question.
And the service history as well.
Exactly.
How much work has it done, or has it done to keep it up
and then
and
I
running?
recommend taking it for a test drive too. Why not?
Oh, that's awesome. And did you get what sort of response did you get, you know, from your blog, or, you know, with your clients on that? Like, has it been, you know, like what's their experience been?
I think it lands. So this actually came from She Talks that I did back in August, and I can put the link to that in the comments here later if anyone's interested in checking that out, because it gives a lot more context around this analogy. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. All right. So yeah, that would be wonderful if you could do that. So right. I'm going to turn the tables a little bit, because we've been talking about sort of finding a partner and sort of the process around finding a partner. But so, I mean, to capture our audience, there are people who are in relationships, and what you might find in some scenarios is people start dating and they both have the same desire to not have kids, or it's not even thought about or even spoken about, or it might be spoken about. So there's a couple of different scenarios there. But what happens when you get to a point in your relationship and you don't share the same desire to have a family?
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation.
Yeah.
And
it happens all the time. Like, it's really cool. Yeah.
And I think, first of all, it is important to have these conversations reasonably early on, not too early on, But
Yeah.
say in the
Yeah,
first
because
year or so of dating.
It's awkward having those conversations in the beginning. You're like, oh, I don't want to scare them off, or no, it's fine. I don't want to have kids. And then all of a sudden you're like, actually, no, I do want to. And you're like, why didn't I think of this sooner? Or maybe you're too uncomfortable, or you're trying to impress them, or so it is an important conversation. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's totally fine. I think the biggest thing to recognize is that we can fall in love with all different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And sometimes realistically, not all of those people are going to line up with the life that we want to create for ourselves. Yeah. Which is why it is really important in this dating evaluation process. And I mean, this can be, 2 years into it. You're still evaluating, you're still exploring. We need to recognize that, if they don't have their own reasons for going down the same path as you, then at some point, probably someone's going to feel a bit bitter about that down the track. And so finding people with aligned vision and values is a really important step. And when it comes to this situation specifically, there's a statistic, I don't know the exact number, it's around 70%. John Gottman, who is a relationship guru, psychologist, he recognized that about 70% of all conflict in relationships is unresolvable. So recognizing that, this is why you want to be arguing over the little things rather than the big things. This also links back into vision and values. But with unresolvable conflict, not much is going to shift until someone changes their mind. Yeah. So I guess the best advice I can give is for each partner to do their soul searching and to really peel back the layers of why they've made that decision. Is it out of fear or is it out of conditioning? And each partner to be willing to accept that final decision once those layers are pulled back, because it's not enough for just one partner to be like, oh, okay, I want to have kids now, just to make their other partner happy. Like, they have to really want to make that decision for themselves.
Yeah, it's a life-changing decision. And I like what you said, Jiveny, and I think it's really important that so say you got a man and a woman, and the woman wants to have kids and the man doesn't, and getting actually sourceful around why each person wants to have a kid, and to actually, before deciding to have children, to actually be aligned in what your purpose is and why you're doing it. And if you're the person that's doesn't want kids, well, first of all, having a really open, safe discussion around the subject between the two of you, I think, is really important. And for each person to look really carefully and look sourcefully. I keep using that word, but being sourceful about why we sort of think or want the things that we want in our life, and if it's looking to fill a void in your relationship, or if it's to think, oh, like you're having problems, we're gonna have kids and it's gonna be great, or I mean, that's just like two scenarios. Or actually sort of so that your decision is aligned, if you both do decide, and or if there's someone that doesn't want to have children, actually looking at exactly what you said. Some of it might be like it might be a fear-based decision because they've had a traumatic childhood, or I don't know, they may been babysitting. They might have had like a really like horrible babysitting experience, or might be scared of kids. So there's a whole myriad of reasons why. And I think getting to delving deep and going underneath what they're saying, so that you can have a better understanding, like, in your relationship of, why that person wants, wants to make that decision. So, and then, who knows what will happen. Someone might actually shift, or they might have a breakthrough, or they might go, actually, you know what, you're right, I don't want to have kids. Let's, so you've got your initial answer, but there's always going to be something like underlying from both parties. So actually getting that. So, yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. That's so good. Alrighty. All right, just going through my questions here. Okay, so I've got a couple of more questions for you.
Okay.
So because we are the Divine Feminine Collective, can I ask you, what does it mean to you to be a divine feminine, or in touch with your divine feminine? What is that?
So the word divine to me, it brings up an association with the word divinity, which in my interpretation is my relationship to the universe, my relationship to the interconnectedness of all things, and recognizing that interconnectedness, owning it, and taking responsibility for it. It's also like, it reminds me of like the purity of our state, our innocence, our purity, and our childlike playfulness. And then I guess marrying that to the feminine, it's been a journey for me to really embrace my feminine. And I think getting to this point, I'm at this point now where I really value the gifts of feminine energy. And the divine feminine to me is the embracing of that, and being proud to be woman, being proud to have these gifts, and feeling embodied and comfortable in our own skin, in the way that we express ourselves, and most of all, trusting ourselves. I mean, self-trust is important for both men and women, and masculine and feminine energy. But trusting our feminine energy is really important, because we live in a world where so often we're taught, you know, rather than valuing our emotions, to value the facts and only the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Alrighty. So another question for you. In everything you have learned in your life, what's been your biggest lesson so far?
That is such a big question.
Yeah, I know, but like I'd love for you to share. What's been your biggest lesson so far?
Well, I think for me, the biggest lesson that just underpins everything and has really accelerated my own personal growth is recognizing that we create what we believe. I create what I believe.
Yes.
And we get what we focus on. And so often we have these limiting beliefs that hold us back from different possibilities. I guess like a key example in my life where I probably learned this for the first time, or had it like really unquestionably demonstrated to me, was when I was younger. I was 20 and I didn't consider myself musical at all. Didn't play an instrument, like sing along to music in the car, but never in front of anyone. And I was at this festival, and a friend of mine, we were watching this beautiful young woman play ukulele around the fire, and she was just stunning. And I said to my friend, you know, I wish I could do that. And he was like, you can do that. I'm going to teach you. And he taught me, you know, a few basic chords on guitar. And from that point on, I just applied myself to it. I fell in love with it. And it just totally myth busted my limiting beliefs of, I can't do that. I'm not musical. I can't sing. I can't write songs, you know. And fast forward to today, like I do perform, I have a band, and I've released an EP, and I plan on releasing some more. It's my passion project.
Cool.
But you know, since that experience, I just see over and over again so many things that I once thought I couldn't do, or that I wasn't worthy of, or that I didn't believe was possible, has become possible, and has become like, you know, even a normal aspect of my reality. So I really encourage people like to explore this idea, and to explore our beliefs, and, you know, try on different beliefs and see what different results we might get with that, because we live in a really magical world that is so often overlooked. And this is true empowerment to me. Get this, and like everything else falls into place.
Okay, beautiful. So we choose what we believe, basically. Is that what you said?
We create what we believe.
Oh, we create what we believe. Okay,
but
wonderful.
Yeah, you can choose what you believe too.
Yep. And I think that's a really powerful place to stand when you're looking at, you know, all these decisions that, you know, like all these big decisions we have to make. Like, why do we believe what we believe? Like, what's behind it? And we live in a world, you're right, a magical world where we can create whatever we want to create. We create our own realities, and we create our own beliefs. We're not stuck or fixed human beings.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I want to see more people aware of that.
And what difference do you think that will make?
I think it will release a lot of suffering. Like the more that we can take ownership for our reality and our experience, and actually choose life, the more that we choose what we get, the more that we enjoy it, hopefully, anyway, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's a very powerful place to stand, a very, very powerful distinction to like have at the forefront of your life. So thank you very much for sharing that, Ms. Jiveny. So will there be an opportunity? So did you want to share what you've got coming up in 2018 and sort of like any of your offerings that you're doing, just as a wrap up?
I'd love to. So I'm based in Melbourne, and next year, starting March, I'm doing a 6-week another offering of the Alchemy of Attraction, and I'm looking for 6 to 8 women. I think we only have 6 spots left at the moment, actually, who are single and looking and ready to transform your love life, because this will be a deep dive into relationship, attraction, and dating dynamics. So I'm really looking forward to offering that. Yeah. And then for those not in Melbourne, I also do a lot of coaching over the internet, over Skype, over Zoom, or even over the phone sometimes. So that's also an option if you are interested in learning more. And then the last thing that I'm really excited about is next year I want to start a thing called Anonymous Wednesdays, where I'm really inviting people to write in with different questions that they might have about dating, attraction, relationships. And I'm going to start doing like a weekly Facebook Live and just answering them. So if you just want to, you know, throw some questions at me, I'll be answering those questions each week and sharing a bit more with the universe.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to throw some questions from my community of women, you know, your way as well to help facilitate those discussions. So, and the other thing is that your website is www.jiveny.com, and there's links to some of the She Talk that you did recently, and all your blogs and the events that are coming up. So, Jiveny, I honour you and thank you. I appreciate you for your time and your contribution to what it is to be a divine feminine. And, you know, there's a whole world out there of sort of confusion or fear, and, you know, people like you help break down that fear, and, you know, so people can be more intimately connected to who they are as divine women or divine human beings. So thank you for all that you do. I really do appreciate it, and we honor you. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for creating this space and for collaborating with amazing women, and, you know, sharing more of, like, I know you do some amazing stuff. I might hit you up and interview you at some point.
Oh, well, I'm gladly accept your request if you choose to do so.
Cool. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in, and I really do hope you got out of you, Jiveny. Next week, we will be interviewing a really amazing couple who is Dave McDermott and Helena Nister. Dave McDermott is a masculine empowerment coach, and Helena she's also a tantric coach. She's a sex therapist, and the conversation is going to be around loving and encouraging the men in our lives to be open, vulnerable, and connected. And
I love
it's a conversation. Yeah, it's such an important conversation. You know, there's so much male suicide, and there's so much sort of crime, and I mean, there's a whole world of it, which we know we're going to go into next week. But I'm really looking forward to that conversation, and I really do want to make an impact in that area. So hopefully you can join us. And I'll be putting more about that on the Facebook Live. So
cool.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jiveny. And
my pleasure.
Thank you from Divine Feminine Collective. See you later.